Okay, here we go. Okay. Episode 86. Dr. Pat Garrett.
Dude, we're closing in on 100 episodes. Who are we
know.
going to have for our 100 episode guest?
I don't know.
I should
It'd be a surprise.
Dr. Pat. Dr. Pat's here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's right.
Okay, do the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
You
I
gotta start.
interrupted
You gotta
him.
start.
I interrupted him.
As always, we have Gunny Matheson, Joe Schmidt, and today our good friend, Dr. Pat Garrett.
He didn't say welcome to another episode of the show, so
No, I didn't.
That's right.
I screwed you up. I screwed you up.
You threw me off. And just for the sake of time, because we only have an hour, talking about the breeding and stuff, I already explained to Gunny about the boy horse and the girl horse. And so we can just skip
Whoa,
forward.
wait a minute. There's none of the twos, the G's, the B's, the T's, the L's, the Q's. It's just boy and girl.
Boy and girl.
Boy horse, girl
That's
horse.
it.
Yeah.
There's none of the T's.
Nope.
I had a T horse once. You're saying that, but I had one.
Tell us about it.
Well, I sold a mare in a sale, in the fraternity sale 15 years ago. Turns out she had a little bitty vagina and no insides. So maybe she wasn't a girl horse, but she wasn't a boy
She
horse.
wasn't a boy.
So what's that called?
A
You
T?
don't know?
A Q? An L? I
You
don't
you
know.
didn't find
I
out.
don't know all the letters and numbers.
You didn't-
She's one of the rainbow horses.
Gotcha.
Trump declares that there's just two genders. Does that carry over to horses too? Well, Dave Chappelle said it, like the B's, the T's, the alphabet people.
I don't know.
Welcome to
Thanks.
Yeah, what's the...
All right.
And you're here because you do his breeding, right?
I do.
Breeding vet.
Breeding.
I mean, you're an all kind of vet. You do everything.
Yeah.
But it's breeding season.
Breeding season coming.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
cranking
exciting.
up now, huh?
It is. It is.
So, what do you do? Like right now, nobody's breeding yet, right? So, what's your prep right now with all the breeding farms?
So right now, everybody's got it on their mind. After the first of the year, everybody gets it on their mind. They're ready to get after it. So we'll start checking mares, this week, next week, making sure everybody's clean, everybody's cycling, and then that way when time comes, they're ready to go. We're not behind the 8 ball.
We started checking mares already because we're going to aspirate a couple for ICSI tomorrow.
Yeah, ICSI's
Varsity Blue.
a little bit changed the game, huh? Because we're not. You're kind of aspirating mares all year round now, right?
Yeah, we'd never stop checking mares now. It's weird. Used to, there's a defined breeding season, then you were done, July. Now you just keep checking mares pretty much all year.
Really?
It's changed the game.
Has there been any side effects that we've discovered from doing ICSI at all?
I think ICSI, for me, I think it's a good tool. I think it's a great tool, but I don't think it's like the end all be all. I don't think it's a silver bullet. I think that it works great for mares that are older, you're not getting any embryos out of anymore, or you got a stallion that's dead or doesn't have good semen. It works great for that. I think if you got I don't think you need to overdo it though.
Yeah.
Younger mares, I think that you can overdo it.
But like Monica's Dunnet mare that just passed away earlier this year, she was 25 years old, and you guys tried breeding her last year. And she still has tons of eggs in there, but none of them, like the DNA is bad enough. You're not getting anything in foal.
Right.
So why not ICSI a younger mare? I mean, are you going to run them dry?
You could.
Still don't know that.
Yeah, you don't know
Okay.
that. You don't know
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I mean, you couldn't, and each mare is so different. I mean, some of those older mares, you're still getting, like we aspirated a mare a month or so ago and got a 21-year-old mare got 10 embryos, and I mean, and some of them you don't, you aspirate a younger mare, get a bunch of oocytes and maybe one embryo.
Yeah.
So it's mare to mare.
Yeah.
How long has ICSI been around?
It's been around a while. Like I went to a deal in like 2009 up at CSU, learning how to do it, but that was before we knew what to do, and you had to surgically implant them. So you could kind of get them, and you were only going after the mature ones. You didn't know, nobody knew how to grow the immature ones back then. But now, it's just progressing so fast.
Yeah. So do you see a time, is it different in cattle as far as the number? So if you get 20 oocytes out of a cow versus a horse, what's your percentage of success?
Way higher in cattle, way higher. And you'll get, you might get 20 embryos in one session with a cow.
Why do you think that is?
I think cows on the whole are more fertile, and this the way they're kind of set up,
Tougher,
anatomically.
dumber,
They are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Harder to kill.
harder to kill,
Yep.
taste better.
Have you had horse?
No.
Yeah, neither. I was wondering.
But I've been in a butcher shop in Europe where they sold horse.
Yeah. I actually did have horse one time in Italy. And it was leaner maybe than,
Meat is meat.
yeah. It was lean, but it was whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, breeding cows, your success rate is higher, whatever you're doing usually, right?
It is. And they've been, like, the cattle side has just been way ahead, they've been aspirating and doing, that a lot longer than we have.
So is that where it transitioned from into the horses from the cow side?
It
Everybody's
is.
like, well,
And like in cattle, when you're aspirating horses, you've got to flush fluid in because those oocytes are sticky. They don't want to come out. So you're aspirating, flushing, aspirating, trying to scrape around, get them loose. In cattle, you just stick it in there and aspirate, and they come right out.
so when, okay, tell me, let's pretend I'm stupid because it's not a stretch, right?
Yeah, that's not going to be hard for this group.
So when you go to aspirate a mare, you're just going in there and flushing out all the viable eggs or all the eggs that they have at that point.
At that time, yep.
And the reason we can do it all year round because you can inseminate those eggs and freeze them, correct? Yep. And then wait and put them in mares February, March, whenever you want to. And hopefully, and that's the thing that I've seen a little bit with all the embryo transfers going on is that it's a big advantage to be at the beginning of the year.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Everybody's got plenty of recips. They're all the good ones. If you wait till later in the year, you're getting kind of what's left over.
Right.
So, yeah.
But from what I understand, also, a mare has to be ready to be ICSI. Like, she's got to have a bunch of follicles in there. Like, there's times where they're, like, it's almost better when they're transitional.
It is. That's what you want to catch them. If you catch them when they're transitional, because you want them to have as many follicles as possible. You don't want them to be in heat, because when they get in heat, when that one follicle gets big, the dominant follicle, the rest of them shrink back and go away. Yeah. So you want them to be transitional and have as many small follicles as you can, and because you're going after the immature oocytes.
Right. So
I'm not super stupid.
just a little. So, okay, that's pretty technical. So, basically, like, I think there's I have people call me and say, okay, I've got this mare. I've never bred her before. I want to breed. What do I do? So, if you're somebody from Iowa and you've got a mare and you like and you want to breed it and you've never done it before, what's the process?
For just regular breeding?
Yeah.
So probably what you ought to do is get her checked. And it would depend on how old she is. Because, some people will call you and they've got an 18-year-old maiden mare, and it's tough. The older they are, if they've never been bred, the harder it is. So, depending on the age of the mare, pretty much if they put them under lights, tell them to put them under lights. I usually do it around Thanksgiving. Put them under lights, start checking them about this time of year. And then, if everything's looking okay and they've never been bred, their uterus doesn't have a bunch of fluid or anything, just start getting them checked. When they come in heat, breed them.
And I feel like most people around have a vet probably within an hour of where almost no matter where you live, you find a vet within an hour that has some kind of horse experience and horse breed, and they can check them. And then a lot of times we send our semen straight to that vet, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So it can be daunting sometimes. Like if you've never done it, it's like, oh, it's this big deal, but it's just a matter of finding a vet you trust.
Exactly.
And then a lot of times we get our calls straight from the vet and, okay, we need this tomorrow. And it's tricky sometimes because those studs that are breeding a lot of mares, when we get, we've got the board out there and all of a sudden you can ship, you've got enough good semen to ship to 5 or 6 mares, but you need to breed 8 or 9.
Yep.
It gets tricky, huh?
It's a little tricky. It does.
When did they start shipping semen? Because it wasn't that long ago that, breeding was very regional. You had North Carolina had a breeding farm and
Yeah, it wasn't legal in the AQHA until
late
In
90s.
the 90s. Yeah.
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 And that changed the breeding business
Changed it.
completely.
Yeah.
Changed the breeding completely. So what's your so for me, I like the ICSI, and you and I've had this discussion. I like the ICSI better than the doing a straight embryo transfer because you go in one time and you have the possibility of getting, if you get 20 oocytes and 4 babies, you're doing good, right?
Right. Yep.
But at least you have the opportunity of getting 4, where for me, the embryo transfer is you're going to get 1
2.
maybe.
Yeah. Maybe 2.
Yeah, maybe 2. So, on those really good mares, I prefer to do the ICSI, but it's also, as we've found out, and you and I had this conversation the other day. Why are the ICSI? Why do a lot of places charge more for the ICSI recips?
They charge more for those recips because, like, if you flush, it's a regular embryo transfer, get a fresh embryo, and it makes it to a heartbeat, you're pretty much good. You can feel good about it. On the ICSI embryos, a lot of them, some of those recips will lose them sometime after the heartbeat, 45 days, 60 days. And, I think we're learning a lot more about why they do that and trying to change our techniques and get it to where that doesn't happen. But the recip farms, they know that. Their percentages, they know if they get a fresh embryo, they're going to get this. And an ICSI embryo is a little, it's going to be a little less percentage-wise. Plus, if that mare carries it, that recip carries it to 60 days and loses it, they're pretty much lost that recip for the year. If you do a fresh embryo transfer, put it in a recip mare, it doesn't work, bring her back around culture. If she's clean, you're putting another one in the next cycle. Because usually if they're going to lose it, it's just not going to work. It's not going to go that long on a fresh one.
Yeah.
Do you guys have percentages that you keep? Like at Tom's farm, was there a percentage of embryos flushed to embryos that worked that you keep stats on to try to better everything? Or
I think we're 100%, right?
Yeah. Maybe a little higher because a couple of times we got 2,
Right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop some mares off tomorrow if y'all are 100%.
100%.
I expect those results.
Yeah. No, I don't know. What is a regular embryo transfer compared to ICSI? What's the better percentage? What's your better shot?
Putting the embryo in.
Or let's throw in just getting one in full regular.
Getting a mare in full regular.
And having a baby.
And having a baby. So just breeding a mare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just a one-time deal.
Yeah.
You're probably 70, 80%, probably somewhere in there. Young mare, probably 70 in the 70s.
And if you breed her till she's in full, and you're pretty much 99%
Yep.
to have a baby.
Right.
What about the odds of flushing an embryo and sticking it in a mare and turning it into a baby?
Kind of everything you do, the more you do, your percentage goes down a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the more process you put in there, steps you add, just freeze it, do whatever to it, it's going to decrease it some.
Yeah.
I think I was a frozen embryo.
Why do you think that, Gunny?
There's something wrong with me, dude.
Yeah,
There's
just a little
it
off.
just doesn't work all the time.
Just doesn't connect.
I don't know. Every once in a while, when it's cold, it just freaks out.
Yeah,
Okay.
stuff doesn't work. Yeah, so if the artificial way you're saying is about 70%, then live cover is even higher than that usually, right?
Yeah.
Because we had when I was in New Mexico, we had great success with those horses, and we did it so wrong. But it was all live cover. I mean, I'd clean these things barely, like it just worked.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it was
Nature.
pretty. Yeah, it worked really, really good.
The guy that I worked for, I mean, even 10 years ago, they'd bring their stud home in the springtime and turn him out with the
Oh
mares.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
several
They'd
people
have
that
a full
do that.
crop the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably at the end of the day, that's probably the best
better
way
way.
to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If you didn't mind getting them, kicked and beat up.
Beat up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, it's changed so much. I remember Little Rough Peppy, that first Barb remembers. Very first year we stood him, it was all live cover.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know if we did it because that's what we had to do. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, his first year there was only a couple of colts. And we're talking to Barb, who was my, one of my head person at the ranch until Pat stole her.
Yeah.
She's
I
there.
knew that was going to come up.
Stole
knew
your
it was
best
coming.
talent.
Yeah, 22 years.
Yeah.
And then Pat stole her. So, I mean, he married her, so I guess that's something, but that's awful elaborate to
Still.
steal your help. It's a lot of
Yeah.
hoops to jump through to steal your help.
Kind of kind of a
you know.
jerk move.
So you have embryo mares. You do any of your own embryo transfer stuff?
Of our own?
Yep.
We do some. Yeah, we do a few.
Yep. So we've tried to keep some embryo mares around, and it's not. I would say it's not all it's cracked up to be
Oh, it's miserable.
because
It's terrible.
yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
They're terrible to be around. You freaking get on the road. You got to go catch them in the mud.
It is terrible. It's terrible.
You're
Yeah.
crazy.
The reset farms earn their money. I mean,
Yeah.
they do.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
that whole business has changed like crazy.
Oh man, fast. It really has.
Because how much does a reset mare go for now? About $5,000 at least.
5,000-6,000.
That is
4, 5, 6,000.
8,000 up to.
Really?
I can tell you somebody that we have been using the last few years. I won't name names, but they bumped it up to 8,000 for ICSI mares, and so we used somebody else last year that was great to us, and did a lot of our stuff, and we had a super high success rate for a lot less money. And that's my only concern is that some of these places are going to they're gonna make it expensive enough where it's not really viable. I mean, that's a little, which I don't know if that's a concern. I don't even know if that's a bad thing. And maybe we're raising too many babies. I don't know, but a lot of these places, when you start charging 8,000 for a recip and you go spend 4,000 on a stud fee and all the,
Everything.
I mean, my vet's reasonable, but so many of them are so expensive. And I mean, shoot, you got, by the time you take that thing to a year-old sale, you got 20,000 in it,
Yeah.
22,000 easy. So that part's tricky, but I think the good news is what it's done is people have started doing it with the better mares, which I think we see in the show pen. When we have so many good horses, you go to the futurity and when there used to be one special one and then 10 special ones, and now there's 70 special ones. And how many times now do we see in the finals 2 or 3 out of the same mare?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not uncommon at a Derby aged event to see 2 or 3 out of the same mare in the finals. And I mean, I think that is it bad? I don't know. Is it? I guess if it was too inexpensive, too affordable, where everybody's breeding their average mares and we're raising more average babies. I guess that's not a great thing. But also, it's a lot of damn money.
It's a lot of money. And it's going to, I think the market will take care of itself too, because like you said, they're raising more and more good ones. It's going to make it where the mediocre ones, they either don't breed or they breed them, natural or whatever, because it gets so expensive that,
Yeah. And I got a couple mares standing in my pasture that they were very good mares, but they're more still there because of sentimental value. They've knocked out colts every year that win 25 to 30,000, and they're very reasonably nice horses, but I can't sell the mares because my wife and children won't let me. But those mares, we breed them to carry.
Yep.
And we make money on them every year because we breed them to carry.
Right.
If we were ICSIing them, we wouldn't be making money on them,
Well, what are the dangers when you breed your nice mare to carry? Is it extremely dangerous?
I mean, there's always a risk, when they foal, there's always a risk. The thing about it, if you're flushing a mare over and over, if they have never carried one, eventually that cervix is just going to get where it won't open up, and they'll just keep, like whatever you put in there stays in there because that cervix isn't opening up, letting it out. So if you'll let them carry one by the time they're 8 or 9 years old, it'll kind of solve that problem on the cervix. But there is always a risk.
Yeah, that's good advice.
How often do you think you need to let them carry?
If you're just flushing them over and over,
Yeah.
I think they say if you do it by 8 or 9 years old, you shouldn't have that much trouble with the cervix. If you start having it again, you could let them carry them again, but every couple of years,
Well, now our shows, they show Derby horses until they're 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're, and there's a lot of 8 and up stuff, I could see not letting Tyra carry one until she's 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Is that a big risk to have her first baby at that age? Or?
Not too bad.
Yeah, and you kind of hear that. You hear about can be hard on them to flush them and do all, but there's a lot of mares in the industry been flushed from starting from when they were 4 and now they're 20 and they're still getting flushed.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure it's probably not ideal, but it's still, there's a lot of people doing it.
Oh yeah, you can deal with it. It is.
Yeah. So, but like I said, we have, how many recent mares do I have? Maybe
15, maybe
15-ish?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And I've had a lot of people call me lately. I can tell you, all I can tell you is my feel for it is 3 years ago, people had a recent mare. They wanted $4,000 for it. So she's a good mare. She's easy to handle. I've had 2 or 3 people lately call me for mares that cost like $1,200, $1,500. So I don't know if demand's gone down. I don't know.
Everybody thought it was a good idea, me included, until you realize you got to walk through a foot of mud
Yeah.
to go catch the things, and they're
Yeah.
crazy, and they
Yeah.
make your help quit, and they drive your vet crazy, and it's a big pain in the butt.
Yeah.
You gotta.
No, because some of those things are wild. Like
They are.
crazy wild.
They are. And what's tough too is like if somebody sends in a donor mare and they're like, "Oh, I got a recip I want to send to you too," and you put that embryo in this my recip. It's tough if you got 1 and 1.
You can't line them up.
It's so hard
Yeah.
to line them. You might can get it done. If you do, you're lucky.
Right.
But it's hard to get them lined up and do
can-
it like that.
Line them up if you ICSI them and freeze them, but that's really it.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
So if you flush one at my house, if let's say we're doing a regular embryo transfer and you flush it at my house and we're using whoever for the embryos, what do we do? Do we curry that? Do a courier with that embryo to the mares, or do they bring the mares to us?
It depends. When we were using Curtis Graves and them a couple of years ago, they would bring the mares to us. I'd put them in, I'd check the mare, put them in. Now we pretty much send them. I'd package them up, send them to where the mare is. and they'll put them in. They'll keep them till they're at least 30 days. Check them.
And that embryo, when you do that, when you flush it at our house and then we send it by courier, it's just cooled, right? It's not frozen.
Yep, it's just cool. And a lot of times I don't even cool them if they're going somewhere close.
It's just
and
in a jar of liquid,
Yep,
and it's
that's
gone.
right. Yep. You put them in kind of two little
Bottles of
yeah.
liquid.
So it doesn't. What you don't want to happen with an embryo, you don't want anything to change fast. So you want to do it slow. So you want to kind of have an outer barrier. Any temperature change, anything, you just want it to happen slow. Just don't want to shock them.
Gotcha. And how about that? So you also do the ICSI, right?
Cole does most of it. I do some, but he does most of it.
So with the ICSI stuff, the same?
It's a little bit different. You got to keep those oocytes at a specific temperature. So like if we aspirate those oocytes, and if you're shipping them somewhere, you got to put them in a special shipper that keeps them warm. You want to keep them the same temperature.
Okay. So we sometimes when we're getting our ICSI done, whether it be whoever we're using, we've used, obviously used you a lot, and have used a couple of different places, but you get a text message that says, okay, you got 25 oocytes.
Oh,
And you're like,
you're over the moon.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with all these babies? Give me that money.
Yeah.
And it's just heartbreaking from
Yeah.
the next step down.
and then a little bit later, I like, how many days later?
So the process is, so you aspirate them, you send them to the lab, and they're going to have to, and I don't know the whole specifics, but pretty much what they'll do, they're going to see which ones mature to be able to be injected. And that's like 36 hours later, something like that.
Yeah.
So say you get 20, maybe 15 of them. Every step you get,
9.
you get a little less.
9.
You get a little less.
20 goes
So
to
they'll
9.
inject them, and
You
then they'll-
stick 9 in full.
Yeah.
You get 3. You stick
Yeah.
those in mares, and one mare swallowed hers. Huh? Oh, yeah. It's heartbreaking. Come
you
on.
need to go in with both eyes open.
Paint
Yeah.
doom and gloom. Paint it
Yeah,
doom and
you
gloom,
got
baby.
to.
It's nothing but death.
You got to. If not, there's a lot of disappointment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's a tool. It's not a silver bullet. It's a tool.
Yeah, 100%. And I still like it because I do like that you can pick and choose when you want to do it, and then if you like some of our better mares, for sure we're doing it. We have embryos that are stored up now. So J-Losa, for example, now we're going to breed her and have her carry next year because we already have 4, I think, right? Four frozen ones ready to go into mares, and so once that embryo is okay, let's say it gets inseminated, and then it looks like it's going to work, and they freeze it
Yep.
instead of putting it in a mare. At that point, what are your odds?
So when you freeze those ICSI embryos, you hardly lose any percentage of it working.
Okay.
Because the thing is, like when you're flushing a regular embryo, there's so much variation because you're checking them once a day. So say you breed her and she ovulates as soon as you leave the farm, and you check her the next day, she's ovulated, and you flush her 6 days from that because you want to freeze it. You flush her, and that embryo changes size so quick, and you might have a 7-day embryo because she ovulated as soon as you left the day before. So you got a 7-day embryo, and they just do not freeze it. If the embryo gets too big and you try to freeze it, you might as well just throw it down the toilet.
If it gets too big, sometimes you can't even transfer it, can
That's
you?
right.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, if they get too big, I've transferred them before in just a regular AI pipette because they were, so big. And sometimes they'll work, but the bigger they are, the more fragile they are. And so if they've got that big membrane around them and you try to freeze it, it's not going to work. So the good thing with the ICSI embryos is they've got them there in the lab, and they can freeze them the exact size they need to be frozen, and they have it doesn't really decrease your percentage at all.
And then they can wait for a mare to be absolutely perfect, right?
Right.
To put it in. So
gotcha.
there's a lot of upside to
There's
it,
a lot
too.
of upsides. You take a lot of the guesswork and variation out of it.
Well, I got another dumb question for you. So we're aspirating Tyra tomorrow at 1 o'clock. It's June 25th or January 25th. How long is it going to take her till we can start checking her to just breed her or flush an embryo?
I usually wait
know?
about 2 weeks.
Oh, really? And there'll be another one in there growing.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was curious.
I mean, I usually give them 2 weeks and then start checking them. And sometimes they're
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how many mares? So we do about, I think we breed probably about 600, 650 mares at our, okay, not breed 650 mares. I think what's the right way but by the semen that we send out I think we get about 650 mares in full every year. How many do you do anything other than just, I know you work at a lot of the bigger places. Do you do also something other than reiners?
It's mainly reiners. There's some cow horses and some pleasure horses and stuff like that, but mainly reiners.
Yeah.
No cows.
Oh, yeah.
He
does some cows.
I do a little bit.
You're in the cattle business. Yeah.
I mean, it's in my blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you grew up in the cattle business, right?
Yeah. My dad's an order buyer and, grew up around the cattle business. He'd buy them there in the southeast and ship them out the Panhandle and up in Kansas and stuff to the feed yards and customers out there.
Yeah. Where's your dad now?
He's there in Alabama.
In Alabama.
My brother.
Roll
goes
Tide.
too. Roll Tide.
And you go back there. I know you go back there every once in a while and help out. And
Yeah.
how many cattle do you run now?
We've got a handful out here and some over there, but kind of what my dad and them do is they buy and sell. So, man, my brother's doing most of that right now. So he'll buy them, put together a load. Say you wanted a load to come out here on wheat or whatever, you'd call him, say I want 2 loads of 650-pound steers. He'd give you a price, send his buyers out. They bring them into our barn. He'd sort them up, ship them out there to you. And so it kind of changes because he's buying and selling. He's trading them all the time.
But I know you go back there and help with the breeding and some stuff.
I do.
Some still,
Yeah.
don't you? And you're the only vet in the family,
I'm the only vet.
so you do all the work.
I do. My cousin is married to a vet, and he does a lot of it too. But what we'll do every year over Thanksgiving, we'll spend the whole week of Thanksgiving over there checking my dad's cows. Seeing who's pregnant, who's not. It's a good time of year to check them in the fall. You're going into the winter. If they're open, hadn't had a calf, it's time to sell them. So you don't have to feed them through the winter. So I'll check his cows for him, and it's fun.
Yeah, well,
It's God's country over there.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay.
Roll Tide.
Yeah. Well, what pushed you into the horses?
I was.
Cows.
Yeah, right.
Cows whole life. Don't deal with these stupid.
Yeah,
You tell them to go left, they go right. You want them to go this way, they go that way.
that's true.
You want to keep them alive, they die.
Pretty much. No, I grew up roping and bulldogging, high school rodeo and college rodeo. I always liked horses too. And it just I started working for a veterinarian up in towards Birmingham, Dr. Harrington. He did a lot of lameness and racetrack work and stuff. And so he kind of got me hooked on it. Then I came out here and did an externship with Dr. McCarroll. And then that's just what I'm
Great
do.
vet.
Yeah.
Mentor, friend,
Yep.
great veterinarian. And he was doing it when it was hard because he had to do, back then you didn't have all the specialization and everything. He had to be everything to everybody.
And it was you and Matt Gomulak, and he's
Yep.
got his own practice up in Whitesboro.
Yep.
And
John and then Kurt.
You want to try that again?
what did I say? I said
Goom-
Gomulak. Gumulak.
Gumalot.
What did I say? What did I say?
You were
Gomulak?
close. You were close.
That's an easy name to mess up. Gumalak. Yeah, I said Gomulak. He knew who I was talking
I knew
about.
what you're talking about. When we were there was a guy, he's passed away, but he was so funny. He had some bucking bulls and he had some horses, and we used to do all his work. He was right there on 455. Now there's a development there across from kind of the school and stuff over there. But he used to call in the clinic, and they'd say, well, who you want out? He'd say, either Pacho or Macho. Either one. So me and Matt still call each other that. If I call Matt, I'm calling him Macho.
So what year, what time frame did you work at John's?
I did an externship there in '99, and then I worked for him in 2001.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit happening in this industry then, huh?
A lot.
That was
Yeah.
crazy. That was
It
when
was-
you'd go to John's and there'd just be a stack of
Oh,
truck
yeah.
and trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd have to drive around the block and they'd send you around. And,
Yeah,
and it was
and
wild.
and it was a stack of trailers of the who's who in the
Yes.
horse business. Like
Yeah.
if you wanted to just go hang out with the top pleasure horse people, cutting horse people,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the place to go.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was
They
awesome.
they still pull in there, just not as frequently
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
I've met some very famous people at
yeah.
Dr. McCarroll still.
Yeah. I remember John one time, he's like, I pulled in there. He goes, hey, you want to see something cool? And he takes this wrap off this horse's neck, and you could see just this huge carotid artery right there. Like he just ripped it open. And Cleve Wells had gotten home from the horse show, his best horse, put it in the round pen for the night. He stuck his head through the door, pulled it back, and the latch just lacerated him, just opened him up. And like he could see it pumping and everything. Horse made a complete recovery. Like just didn't nick it or nothing.
Man.
But yeah, some of the stuff at John's you see, it's just amazing.
Yep.
No, I can't even that you were there in the like kind of the glory days, right?
Yep.
I think John, the first probably time he ever did anything was for me was maybe in, I would say the late '80s, and he's still going strong.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was established as the guy in the late '80s. You know, so yeah, he's been around a long time. And how many guys are working around here right now that went through there?
Right.
You know,
He's like Nick Saban.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
I see the correlation. I see why you brought it up. I mean,
Yeah. No, that's right. And not that you also do a lot of lameness work for us too. So I mean, it's all of our pre-purchases
Yeah.
for the most part. All of my personal pre-purchases anyway. Yeah. No, it's crazy how it's crazy how for me, like I had zero interest in ever being involved in the breeding. Like zero interest. And then Little Rough Peppy came along and everybody wanted to breed to him. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll try that. I said to Barb, think we can do that? I mean, we can figure it out, right? So we got started there and then Smart Starbuck, right? Right after that. And then it just kind of one after the other. And I think like anything, the hardest part is, I think, for most people in any part of the horse business is finding the right people to do it.
Yeah.
You know, finding the right people to work. It's tricky. That part is
Just
tricky.
got even this time. Now we took his up.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
I mean,
yeah. We hired Trista. We stole Pat's help. Trista's
I'm
been with
looking
you
right
for-
now, by the way.
Yeah.
No, you gotta have
what kind of job is it? Is it a,
Yeah, right.
is it a 9 to 5 deal?
No.
Sorry. You gotta have a passion for it. You know, I mean, there's a lot easier way to make a living, but you know, it's super rewarding. You know, and you gotta have a passion for it. And you can tell if somebody gets into it and they don't have a passion for it, they need to find something else.
Well, and you're part of a vet clinic now, Weems and Stevens. That's one of the only ones that does emergencies around
Yep.
here now. A lot of vets
Yep.
don't. Vets in our area have so much work. A lot of them won't do the emergency stuff. They're like, no, my phone turns off at 6 o'clock. You call the office.
Yeah. And that's been a good thing since I joined up with them, which I've got 3 great partners and just been blessed because we all get along. Nobody hates each other. Nobody's, you know, we all get along, and it's been really good. But yeah, we have to have a huge staff to do the emergencies. I mean, we have to have people there 24/7, you know, to do all the emergencies.
Yeah.
And it's getting to where either referral clinics like ours or universities are kind of the only ones to go to for emergencies, and it's because there's a shortage of equine veterinarians right now. And for a lot of the reasons we were just talking about. If you don't have a passion for it, you can go work at, small animal deal, work 4 days a week and make good money and have time to do what you want to do, But if you got a passion for it, it can be super rewarding. I mean, it can.
So this. I mean, we're getting. It's a. I don't know if we're off topic or not, or I don't know if this is the right.
I started it off topic with the alphabet horses, man.
Yes. Yeah, but so you read all the time about vets killing themselves, doing whatever. What is it super high stress? What do you think is behind all that?
Probably more small animal vets, isn't it?
It's both. It's both. The deal is, and I won't ever forget, Dr. Crum was a veterinarian there and still is in Montgomery. And he's been practicing, I want to say over 50 years, been practicing forever. And he's one of the only, he's great large animal. He does cattle, horses, everything. And I worked for him some coming up too. And he told me, I did an externship with him when I was a senior in school. And he said, when you're with me, he said, I want you to be on call because I want you to get the feel of it. He says, it's a different feel. And it is, it weighs on you because at any time, anytime you can be eating dinner, you can be playing with your kids, you can be whatever. That phone rings, you got to go. And even if it doesn't ring, it's still hanging there in the back of your mind. And so it weighs on you. And then plus, you put so much into it. You try to, you're doing your best on every case. And all of them aren't going to come out good. You're going to have wrecks and you're going to have bad stuff. And, you're say we just had a bad deal happen and we're, I'm down about it. Well, then I got to go to the next stop and they're doing a pre-purchase. These people are excited about buying a new horse. So there's a lot of emotions that tie into it,
Right.
Yeah, but also imagine there's some part of it that if you save the horse, you just did your job. But if you don't, then you're part of the bad guy. Like you feel the guilt with it.
Yeah, you feel that guilt.
There's really no satisfaction because the satisfaction is you just accomplished what you're there to do.
You're expected to do it.
You're expected to.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
I imagine that's the hardest part is.
And I think it is probably harder in the small animal deal because
You got to put Fufu down.
it's a part of the
Fufu
family.
gets old.
Fufu's sleeping in your bed.
Yeah.
With you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you got to go from that to the next room. They just got a new puppy, and it's it gets the emotions. Is what it is.
And is there a lot of? Do you guys face a lot of pressure from? Like if something doesn't make it, if a horse doesn't make it, you guys have. I can't even imagine. I know what it is with. I was going to say real doctors. You're a real doctor. That's not what I meant.
He's a real doctor. He knows that ice goes bad.
Ice goes bad.
He
It
knows
goes
that
bad.
goes bad.
Thank you.
You can get salmonella from ice.
We
apparently.
studied it.
Yeah, but do you have a lot of problems with if something doesn't go right? Do you have legal problems? Is there pressure?
There's that's getting worse. And like pre-purchase.
It's worse in the whole world. Everywhere in every aspect.
Yeah. You can get sued for anything
Yeah.
anytime. They can name
Remember
you.
the old racehorse thing
Yeah, I
they
was
had a
gonna
couple years
say.
ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, that was bad. That was terrible.
That was like a couple $1 million bad.
It was
kind
terrible. Terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean you've got that hanging over your head, There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure.
And there's no, I would imagine for you, you're expected, you're needed for everybody's business. You got to be there
Yep.
that day, especially during the breeding season. I mean, I would feel that's just, you wake up in the morning and you want to go, if I wake up in the morning and it's 20 degrees,
Yeah.
I tell Mandy, yeah, fuck it. I'm not going to work this morning. Didn't always do that, but I do it now.
Yeah.
You don't have that option.
No, you got to do
I mean, no matter what, because everybody is relying on you. And I tell my help all the time that works in the breeding barn, to you, this breeding might be one of 20 boxes that we send out today. But to the person on the other end, they set that mare up. It might be the only mare they've got. They count on that baby every year.
Yeah.
It might be their shot. It might be everything's lined up right now. You can't look at it at like 1 of 20. You got to look at it like it's 1 of 1, and it means the world to that person. And it can make or break their. They might not be able to afford to have mares be open that year.
Right.
So that's I try and impress upon my people all the time. And I would think that's a pressure that you feel.
It is. And even like flushing embryos and stuff, you go from hero to zero on the next flush. You feel so good. You just got one. And whenever you start thinking you got it figured out, that's that's when you don't.
Yeah. No, that's fair because you get 3 embryos out of your good mare. And it's like, attaboy, Pat, let's go to dinner.
Yeah.
And then the next time you don't get anything out of the mare for a whole year, goddamn Pat.
You know what I'm paying?
Terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's been doing lately, but he's just not paying attention.
He's not even trying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Dude, last year I had a mare that was colicky, and she was bad. And I mean, I'm looking at her going, this ain't good. So call up the vet, get him out there. They run around. Yep, get her to the vet clinic. Man, I really don't want to. She looks like she's colicking bad enough. She's gonna die. So what do? We get her to Weems and Stevens, the emergency vet place that's open on Saturday afternoon, right? And we do surgery on the thing. And I know I shouldn't have done it, but you have to. It's your horse. I mean, I have the obligation to do it. I am going, nah, it's going to die. The vet calls me, tell it wasn't you. I can't remember who, Kevin.
Kevin Clonch, yeah.
Clonch did he calls me, dude, it's this. Doesn't have a good success rate. Well, we got to try. I mean, I knew I was throwing bad money away. They do the surgery on twist her gut. She makes it through the night. Calls me that morning, makes it through the night. Oh, good, great. Huh. Calls me that afternoon. She not making it. We got to put her down. Yeah, I kind of felt that. That sucks.
Sucks.
But you have to spend the money. You have to try to save the horse's life.
Yeah. And that aftercare is when usually, if they make it through the surgery, you feel good, but then there's so much can happen. They can founder, they can break with a colitis, they can just, it's tough.
Last year was a rough year.
yeah, and unfortunately for Pat, I don't call the hotline. I call Pat.
Yeah.
And then if he doesn't answer, I call him again.
Yep.
Then send him a video.
Yeah. And then if he doesn't answer, I call him again. And then I say, Mandy, call Pat. So
Okay, we're
Then if I
going
still
over
don't
there.
answer, you call Barb.
Pat, I know you're right there.
Yeah.
Pat, we got a problem. Get in the truck.
yeah. Now, I don't recommend everybody call Pat, but
Oh, you're supposed to call it.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Switchboard. So what's
All
your,
this time, he's been calling Pat. He's going, gosh, I wish this guy would just get a clue. Call the fucking clinic.
Yeah.
There's people there with pens and papers that can write it down.
Yeah.
They can document this shit. That's what I pay him for.
Sometimes I call Pat and just say, hey, how you doing? And just keep it real short and real nice. I don't need anything. I just don't want to wear you out completely.
Yeah.
I want you to see my number and go, well, maybe it's not bad.
Maybe he just wants to visit.
Yeah.
yeah.
My niece runs barrels, and she's awesome and she's great. But my brother told her one time, he said, "Can you call him sometime just to see how he's doing?"
Yeah.
Don't call him when you got a question about your horse.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
So what's during breeding season? How much does the workload increase compared to non-breeding season?
Oh man, it's night and day. Yeah. Because in breeding season it's 7 days a week, and plus everything happens at once. You're not just starting to check mares. You start having the more colics. You're having dystocias. Mares having trouble, foaling. You're having trouble, sick foals or foals that won't nurse, and so everything just hits at once. And so you're like drinking from a fire hose. It's 7 days a week, and it's just all you can do. The rest of the year is not bad. You can pretty much schedule, your time,
Right.
have some time away, and the rest of the year is pretty good.
Yeah, no, I can't. I just can't. I can't imagine that. Like I say, you're the guy. I mean, and I don't. Poor Pat. When I got one that's sick, there might be some real good vets in there, but I want Pat.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, Pat, can you come look? At least to advise us over the phone. How many times do we send you a video?
Oh yeah, I get a lot
yeah.
of videos.
What do you think of this?
No,
lot
I've
of
done that
videos.
before. I'll sit here. Have you ever seen this?
You ever seen this? Yeah,
Yeah.
3 little kids. Yep. Yeah, it might have been smarter if we would have done this 20 years ago. Maybe had a little more energy. But 50 and 3 kids under 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's great. It's great.
It's like a
better than I could've-
triathlon.
That's right. That's right. No, it's better than I ever could have imagined.
Yeah.
Did you drive a minivan here?
No.
You planning on
I
getting
tried
one?
to get Barb to get one. She will not get a minivan. I told her, I'm like, look how cool this could be. She won't do
No,
it.
there's nothing cool
Nothing
about
cool
a
about a
minivan.
Man, it's cool.
Yo,
How are you going
there's
to be?
nothing cool about a minivan.
How you going to be a soccer mom without a minivan? No.
Some of those new minivans are kind of cool.
I think so
No.
too.
Get
Name
like
one.
one of those like Mercedes Sprinter kind of
Oh, yeah, those are
minivan
cool.
things. Those things are pretty
Yeah,
slick.
Yeah, those are cool if you're a pedophile.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
you don't put windows on it. Yeah.
No, that's no.
Those
the
are
white,
cool.
Not the white vans.
Yeah,
Not
those
one
are
of
cool.
those. Not the
You
not
can
the
put a
panel
wrap
van.
on it.
I don't think a
Joe's Funhouse.
Yeah, no, not the panel van.
and the Mercedes Sprinter is not. That's not
Well,
a
I guess it's not a
minivan.
minivan, but
No,
that's kind of what they've been.
With the captain's chairs in the
yeah,
back and the
people
whole thing.
people are doing those now more though.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think she's going to stick with her SUV.
Yeah. I would do that. I would do that. You don't want to be the minivan guy.
I know.
You're married to a famous veterinarian. You don't want to. He's making the bank. You don't want. No.
What color is your car? Is it crimson by any chance?
We need to get one, Crimson.
I mean, roll tide.
That's
Roll
right.
Tide.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide.
Better not be navy blue or orange.
Yeah. Well,
What other kind of dumb questions we got for him? Sorry about all these.
yeah.
What's like kind of a common mistake that people will make that's simple that they'll help their breeding that they just don't do? I know a lot of times people just don't get their lights right and get their horses cycling.
Getting the lights right. Getting ahead like you were talking about. If you call and need semen the next day, if you can have a little, be a little bit in, which sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes you take a mare one time, she's in heat, you got to have semen. But, if you can kind of be a couple of days ahead, especially on the busy stallions, you'll be up there on the list higher.
And if somebody doesn't have their mare under lights already, what would you tell them to do?
Just wait a month. Start checking them in March. Start checking them early March. You're still good.
I think somewhere I actually saw somebody did a birth date of a lot of the colts that were in the futurity, and wasn't a big difference between March and June.
No.
Just wasn't. I mean, they could be successful from anywhere in there.
Yeah.
Yep. And down here, it's not a problem. But I know, like, the Canadians prefer June.
Yep.
They don't want a February baby up there.
No.
Have to be born in the indoor arena.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Yep.
Let's end it up here.
Yeah.
Because it was cold up north, and then we could have a bit more babies. Why are you making that silly face?
Well, I didn't know. I had to refocus.
Little short circuit.
Yeah, I had to refocus.
Gotcha.
What about y'all foaling your babies out? You do it at your ranch, or you send them to the vet?
No, we do it at the ranch.
We've been sending them all to the vet lately.
We'll do it
Oh,
for
really?
I just,
you. Haven't we folded out for you before?
yeah,
Didn't we do a great job?
yeah.
All right. Just
We
checking.
we folded one out a couple weeks ago by accident, right at midnight.
Yeah.
Maiden recip mare in foal at 11 o'clock, and that baby breaks the bag at 11 o'clock. Well, at midnight, it gave up. It quit trying to lay down. We're both panicking, calling it. Well, what do we do? Was You better get that baby out of there. So as soon as it's midnight, vet answers the phone. Thank you. And we just get it out, reach up there, pull that baby out. It's fine. But man, I can't take the stress of that.
Yeah.
No, that's
Not having like oxygen there.
Yeah.
We don't have anything ready
Yeah, no.
for it.
no.
I just can't take the stress of that.
No, one year when we worked for Tom, Barb was out of town. She said there was no mares that were going to foal. Okay? And it was about, we did Megan and I did barn check, and we hear this just faint kind of out in the pasture. And we're like, that doesn't sound right. So we go out there, mares had the baby, and the other mares are trying to attack it and all that stuff. So I pick this thing up and I'm carrying it down the lane, and the lane is mud. Total mud. Lost both shoes and just cussing Tom and Mandy the whole time. This fucking lane needs some gravel. I'm done with this. Oh, I was so mad. So mad just carrying this baby around. Oh, I was so mad. You know, but the baby ended up fine and all that. But yeah, I had to go find my shoes in the dirt, in the mud, and oh, it was terrible. But that, like I said, that stress,
I just can't do it.
no,
man.
it's too. They're too little, and so much. Like I said, so much stuff can happen. It takes all the fun out of
A
it.
couple of years ago, we had a Spook's Got a Whiz filly out of Bertha born at our house. It was a big, beautiful buckskin mare. Comes out of the womb, stands up just fine. 3 seconds later, takes one breath, drops over dead. And that was it. No more. We're not watching that anymore. And maybe if a vet was there with us, it maybe would have been fun. We would have known something. But
Probably not, though.
Maybe not.
but to still sit there and not know, you blame yourself for being stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but horses have made it through thousands and thousands of years of. It's not only until recently that we really watched them have babies.
Dude, the first one that I had to help Monica with to foal out, she said, "Hey, this mare quit pushing." It was about 3 years ago. You got to help me. I get queasy about that stuff. You got to help me. I'm not strong enough. I had to go to my shop and get rubber gloves, dude. I grab a hold of this baby. I got to let go outside, dry heave for 30 seconds, come back inside, go, okay, I'm fine. And we get it out of there. Oh, yeah. So this time when we had the baby, I went to my shop, got the gloves on the way, and closed my eyes and just went, okay. Dude, I can't do that. There's something about that ooey gooey shit back there. I can't handle it.
No, it's tough.
A long time ago, there's a buddy of mine, this farrier. He showed up at the house. It was one afternoon. He'd gotten done early, and I still had a castration left to do. And I said,
I can't do that either.
I was
Hearing
like,
that crunch noise, I can't be around that.
come on, ride with me. I got to go over here and work on horse. You can help me. I didn't have anybody to help me. So he's like, all right, I'll ride over there with you. So we go over to the farm, and it was a young horse. I was going to have to lay it down, castrate it. So laid him down, and I handed him the bucket and the scrub and everything. I said, all right, go ahead. I'm going to get my stuff ready. He said, go ahead and what? I said, scrub him. He said, you want me to scrub his balls? I said, yeah. He's like, I'm not touching his balls. So he pretty much just watched. I didn't do everything. He wasn't going to do it. He wasn't going to do it.
Well,
Dude, I can't be around it. When they make that, it triggers that dry heaviness.
Yeah.
Dude, it's not needs good.
It makes the world a better place.
Yes, it does.
It makes the world a better place.
Oh, yeah.
it
I
does.
love
But
riding geldings, but I can't watch them get gelded.
no, I try to schedule castrations when I am out of town. I don't even want to be there. I don't even want the horse to see me when he's walking to the round pen.
Yeah.
Although this year at the Congress, I was so mad at one of my horses. I went to the vet at the horse show to see if they'd geld it, and they said, no, we don't even bring in the emasculators. Well, Amazon will get us some here tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, I don't even have the drugs to lay them down. You're lying to me. You know I'm pissed off, and you don't want to do this, and I want you to. I'd have been okay with that because I was mad, but we just waited a week and did it at home.
Oh,
yeah.
The weaning. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, I don't like the
I don't like
weaning.
the weaning.
But we do it better now. I think we have the big foaling stalls, the 12 by 24, and then we just stick them.
Across from each other.
Yeah. So the baby's they're
Makes
kind
it
of sick
easier.
of, Seems like if you wait long enough, like by the time they're yearlings, They kind of separate anyway.
Yeah.
So
Do it on their own.
yeah, I do not. I don't like the weaning personally.
Yeah, poor little guys.
I know. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm a very emotional person.
Yeah, no, I know.
Everybody knows that.
Like when those cows are all boo.
Oh yeah.
That's terrible.
No, they're annoying.
Still feel bad for
Sad,
them.
though.
Yeah, I still feel bad.
Well, boys,
I don't have any more stupid questions.
No,
come
that was
in.
good. A lot of
Thank
good
y'all for having me.
information.
Appreciate it.
yeah,
Enjoyed
thank
it.
you. A lot of good information.
Yeah, for
Once
sure.
again, I drank all my ranch fuel.
Yes, you did. Ranch fuel keeps you alert.
Natural caffeine, baby.
Alert. Natural caffeine gives you the strength to get through the day.
Through breeding season.
No. Well, maybe, but
Yeah,
breeding
Pat-
season's tough.
Yeah. You just got to drink a lot of it.
A lot of it.
Yeah, I know we have the ranch fuel fridge in the office, and I know like this time of year they go through a lot of ranch fuel.
Oh, yeah, but before we wrap this up, is your cell phone on right now?
Barb's got it.
And what is that number publicly? That number. Area code 331. This is his cell phone number.
555. Isn't that what all the movies is 555?
555,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, but
555.
that really is part of his phone number, I think. I don't know which part.
All right. Anyway, thanks, Pat.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks.
Grow the show.